Welcome back to the Unfuckwithable Woman. This is episode 5 of the podcast. I'm Bronnie Montgomery, and today's episode is a little different. This one isn't polished or filmed. It's been recorded as I've gone about my day on my iPhone voice messages. It's a stream of consciousness that reflects the way I often write, create, and live. In this episode, we're talking about love and intimacy, but not in a narrow, binary ways our culture packages it. This isn't just about man and woman or same-sex relationships or about sex. Love and intimacy are primordial forces. They can be cultivated and expressed in infinite ways through friendship, community, creativity, the earth, and the way we belong to ourselves and each other. What if we began to experience love outside the limits of cultural scripts? What if intimacy wasn't something to perform, but something we remembered, embodied, and lived? That's where we're going today. We treat love as though it's a material possession. We try to own it. We try to contort it. We try to shape it. We try to nail it down. We try to move it in a particular set of cultural and familial and colonized ideologies. We want it to look a certain way. We want it to feel a certain way. We want this kind of top level butterflies in the stomach, all romantic declarations of love that is fast-paced, deep in nature, and somehow holds us through all things in life, as though that other person who declares their love, or that we declare our love to, is the one person, the whole person, the total reason for our existence person, and that they will be there through thick and thin. We've created templates of marriage and gods in which we declare our love for one another. We have rules and regulations, and we see it as an idealized attainment. It is, in its very cultured way, this kind of fantasy ideology of love, and we seek and are encouraged to seek love and this one true love. And once we've attained this one true love, everything is supposed to be easier. Everything is supposed to fall into this happily ever after way, dignified way of living and being. Yet love is not one stream to one person in one way, in one commitment, in a forever after. Love is not, you cannot trap love. You cannot contain love. You cannot nail it down. Love is the very essence that is also part of anger, frustration, grief, ecstasy, joy. It is part of the dynamic way in which life springs and dies back into itself. It doesn't exist for human, just for human. It doesn't exist to be found. It is not a treasure hunt. Love exists already all around us at every one time. The same thing that grows the flowers, and when the flowers wither, is love. The same thing that rolls in a storm and then brings out the sun is love. The same thing that floods our lands and then brings times of great drought is love. Love is the fundamental way that we connect all together. We've put it in a binary and we've separated our emotions, teased our way out of actually feeling this humanity thread, which includes all of these different aspects and feelings and emotions and sensations of what it is to be alive, what it is to be human, and what it is to be in relationship to life and to each other. And life is not bounded just by humans and just by the environment. It's also inclusive of the animals and insects. It's also inclusive of the seasons and the elements. It's also inclusive of death. It's also inclusive of times of struggle and challenges and great despair and horrors. It's also inclusive of all the conditionings and all the felt senses of the body that we have as humans. It's also inclusive of trauma. It's also inclusive of all the sticky and difficult things that we find in life. It's also inclusive of the things that we are afraid of. Love in of itself cannot be captured into one slipstream of expression and one way of being and contained in a way that keeps it just focused on one person in one way or two people in one way in a particular template that has been created by humans, by men, by patriarchal men and women, by colony, by the colonized, by the empire. Love exists in the tears. It exists in the sweat on a pushing yourself, pushing your body through all of its limitations on a daily exercise or training jaunt. It's the tears of knowing of your goodbyes and knowing you may never see that person again. And also in the expression of tears of knowing how much gratitude and love you have for this moment with the people that you're sharing it with and with what's happening right now. It's leaning into the despair and the feeling of vulnerability that we don't know what's the next step. It's the strength that comes through the dark night. It's the pain that you see across your children's faces when they haven't been welcomed and accepted in their social circles, or the struggles that they face having to contort themselves into a system and an ideology that you know has broken you over and over again. Love is part of the human. Love is part of the life. And we need to move away from this binary, single vision view that true love can only be contained within a soulmate or a twin flame. That love can only be contained when we're married, when we have that piece of paper in the eyes of a so-called man-made God. We are not bound to live with love in one way. Love in itself and intimacy in itself and the expression of that love and intimacy crosses all borders in all relationships. We can date our friends. We can date our children in a platonic way. We can show up with gratitude and deep love and reverence for somebody who's just shown us their most amazing life and humanity when we pass them in the street. We can actually be extremely humbled and grateful and touched by a meeting with your children's school teacher who have shown connection and support and appreciation for being part of raising your child. We can have that with any amount of people in our workplace where there's connection, when there's vulnerability, when there's this sense of belonging and community and care for one another. It does not need to be in the form of a marriage, of sexual relations, of intimacy in which we see on the television. This sexualized way of loving and living in this binary connection, this binary way. It can be free flowing. It can be between friends. It can be between lovers. It can be between a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman. It can also be
In the non-binary sense, it can also be between soul and soul. It can be for 5 minutes. It can be for 2 seconds. It can be for 20 years. It can be for a lifetime. And the attainment and the constant looking for that one true and only person for each of us. Because we all have a season. We all are cyclic. We move in and out and all around. And sometimes those love and those relationships are just for a period of time. And that does not diminish the love when that ends. That can deepen the love when we have the appreciation for the most wondrous expressions and memories and experiences that we had together. This heteronormative, cis, white, patriarchal, colonized way of loving is actually about control, oppression, and violence. Because love also comes in the boundaries. It also comes in the no. It also comes in the rupture and repair. And it also comes across many different forms in many different ways. And that's not to say that monogamous, heteronormative relationships are wrong. It actually comes into really reflecting and being curious about your expression and what your soul and what your body needs and feels when it is pulsating from the crux, from the root of what life is and what love is. The pulsation of what grows, moves, shapes, twists, flows, ends, begins this thing and this thread that we call life on the moment to moment, day to day basis. And to continue, we also binary ourselves into whether we're ready for a relationship or not, whether or not we're going to play the field, whether or not that's something that's bad or shameful, or whether or not we're ready for a deeper connection. We've attached these reasonings to deep held beliefs and seeds and ruptures in our system and in our family dynamic and our experiences and different contexts. And we use love and we use readiness and we binary ourselves in order to give reasons as to why we can't show up fully and present to what is here right now, instead of what we are trying to control in the moment and in the sensations and in the felt sense that we have with another or we have with life. We hide ourselves amongst the rubble of our own existence, afraid to move out into the light, to excavate ourselves out, and also sometimes too afraid to be kept or isolating ourselves in the dark, because the spirit, ultimately, our spirit wants to fly, wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be witnessed and validated, wants to celebrate these moment to moment parts that are as much part of ecstasy as they are a part of deep grief. We binary the love within ourselves and in our life and in our relationships to keep ourselves safe, because we're afraid to look back and look at where we've come from and maybe the pain and the despair and the deep horrors that we experienced as children or in our lineage or what we are still experiencing today. We put on a brave face. We put on the mask that tells the world that we are whole, that we have an idea of who we are, where we're going, that we have and we are on purpose, and my God, we are successful. We place this binary and this restriction so that it actually tempers everything in our system. It creates dis-ease. It creates this rupture deep within our soul, and that we can't seem to knit it back together no matter how hard we try. But we keep looking outwards. Where is that validation? Where is our one true person? Where is that image in which that we have been told and cultured and expressed in and through? Where is that one person that fits that idealized way of what we are wanting, what we are longing for, and how they will fill the gaps in our soul and in the rupture within our system that nothing else, no one else, and no experience, not even ourselves, can fulfill? It is an empty cup. It has a hole in it. No matter how much we fill it up, no matter how many partners we have, no matter how many people we seek this through, it never fills up. No matter how hard we push or we pull or we tell ourselves that that wasn't the right person, or we're not in the right space, or that we will be okay, they just haven't arrived, we're missing the most fundamental part in this experiment, in this scientific equation, in this equation of life. We are missing presence. We are missing that true connection with the one source and the one thread of who we are. And that is who we are. We are missing, we are contorting and shaping ourselves in a way to fit to the narrative that's around us, to find love in another, to find freedom in another, liberation in another, for someone else to save us from our own pain, our own misery, to be that love that we always imagined that we were worthy of, that we were always taught would be there for us in this one form of human, in this one expression that would lead to our happily ever after. And yet we find ourselves disappointed. We find ourselves completely adrift, completely despair, completely feeling that there's something wrong with us, that we are worthless, that why cannot we find that one person that we were told in the lie that we were brought up to believe was going to be there for us. If we lost weight, if we leaned in a little closer, if we did the work, if we changed the hair color, if we did all of the cultured things that told us that we would fit, that we would be lovable, that we would be celebrated, that we would meet the one. We filled the gap in with dating apps and places and spaces on social media to meet again that one person that we long to share our life with. And yet we have still forgotten that it is not that person that calls you home. It is not the voice and the energy of that person, though a collective energy, a collective force that each one of us, that each beloved person and each beloved thread of life, animal, non-human, spirit, and otherwise calls us into being. It is a simple gesture, the symbology, the confirmation, the gratitude of what gives way in each moment of life into death, into cycle, into living, into demise. And yet we resist the grief. We resist the demise. We resist the cycle because we are cultured to live only in one part of that cycle, because they've made it so attractive and lure us into and away from the most powerful resource that we have, and that is ourselves. That is each other. And as we look towards that one fulfilling source, that one soulmate that will make us complete, we forget to see the people around us who are already completing our soul. We forget to see the friends. We forget to see the beloveds that we have, because this love has been sexualized into an inch of its existence that we're blinded. We can only see love in one source, in one way, in one expression. And yet we can love so many people in so many intimate ways, and yet not ever share a house, not ever share children, not ever share a commitment ceremony, not ever share our bodies in a way that the culture tells us that we should share with our significant other. And yet in all of this, the one thing that we truly miss, that's truly a shame in this whole rank way of being with what love is, the thread of love, is that we miss who we are. We miss our rhythms. We miss our cycles. We move further away from our own innate nature. We move further away from reclaiming and telling our stories, both the horrors and the ecstasy of our stories. We don't own the land, the ground, the earth that we walk on, the steps that we take, the decisions that we make. We don't embrace the celebrations and the catastrophes. We don't look towards the mapping and listen to the stories of other people around us and see them as ways of how to move, and that those stories are the threads of the wayfinders who have been there before, who have seen, who have shared and who have experienced pathways and lessons and treasures and alchemy that we could actually learn from if we stopped, if we breathed, and if we listened so wholly and solely, openly, irrevocably, curiously and reflectively. How does this place and space, this story, this person, this experience, this exchange impact us? How can we grow? How can we learn? How can this very exchange, this complete cosmic collaboration, explosion, sparks of beauty at this very moment in this exchange be by pure coincidence? Surely it has something to do with something that I'm longing for deep within my soul, deep within my familial ancestors. Surely I have called to it from the darkest places and spaces in my mind, in my dreams, long before I ever took breath on the earth. And yet here we are, missing these most wondrous parts of life, most wondrous threads that are there already longing to thread into us. Exchanges, people, earth, breath, movement, sensation, gratitude, gifts, reciprocity, belonging, all here in every single thread, in every single moment that we take, not just with each other, but within ourselves. The truest love and the truest form of love will always be when somebody comes back to their innate nature. When someone starts to build in wonderful community, connection, belonging, reciprocity with not just themselves, but with each other, with life, with the whole of life. And they start to melt the binaries within their system and in their culture and in their family story. And they open up and they say to life, and within themselves, I am ready. I am me. Please do what you will. Make me your vessel to bring through the most wondrous, wondrous of life's experiences, even the ones that have me shaking and afraid to my core. Bring them through. Protect me and keep me safe and hold me through the darkest nights of my soul and the lightest lights of my experiences of my day. Allow me to be the open vessel in which you can bring more of this expression of love. For my body is a temple and a connection to the greatest resource and source there ever is, life. And let not a day or a moment or an exchange or a person or a curiosity, a reflection, a thread, a comment, a connection, an exchange ever go flippantly through and away from me. Let me be with the very treasure of all of that expression. And that there, when I move back into that there is love. That there is true love. And that can be found at any moment, at any time, within the deepest wells of the self. And it's not a quick fix. It's a long, enduring, step by step, cell by cell, expression by expression, slowing down, meeting, and being brave enough and in your vulnerability to really lean in and be with what is pulsating here right now and what life is wanting and longing for you to see. And I promise it will be scary. It will be painful. It will be joyful. It will have laughter and humor, and it will have tears and anger. But as you start to allow life to reach and touch you in these deepest and most longed for places, it will also be the balm that will soothe those places of despair and of longing. It will be the very medicine that you seek, the very thing that you're seeking, is the very thing that's looking for you as well. It will be not just the rupture, it will be the repair. It will be the deepest, most rooted and fiercely wondrous love that you will ever experience. And it starts with the breath. It starts with the lean in. It starts with the slow. It starts with getting to know the one person that you came in to be and the one person that you will leave as, this innateness of who you are.
Thank you for listening to this very different kind of episode. If it resonated with you, I'd love for you to review the podcast, share it with someone who needs this medicine, and explore the other episodes of The Unfuckwithable Woman. I'd also love to hear from you, your reflections, your respectful thoughts, your stories. You can email me directly, bryony@thesomatherapycollective.com, and let's keep this conversation alive and flowing. Because intimacy, love, belonging, they are not fixed, binary things. They are living currents. And when we step into them, we remember who we are and what it means to be unfuckwithable. You can connect with me in any of the platforms and places and spaces that are linked in the footnotes of this episode. And thanks so much for listening.